heart of the rolling hills of Kentucky, nestled amidst the dense forests and tranquil streams, lived a young boy named Sam. Sam was a spirited and adventurous 12-year-old with a fiery mane of red hair, freckles that danced across his nose, and a heart full of curiosity. He lived with his family in a cozy log cabin that had been passed down through generations. This idyllic homestead was surrounded by untamed wilderness, and the hills and valleys provided Sam with endless opportunities for exploration. One bright and sunny Saturday morning, Sam awoke with a twinkle in his green eyes. He had been dreaming about a particular fishing spot hidden deep in the hills, one his father had told him about. It was said to be a place of unparalleled beauty, where the fish practically leaped into your hands. Determined to uncover this hidden gem, Sam packed his fishing gear, a backpack filled with sandwiches and a canteen of water, and set off on his adventure. The sun shone high in the sky, casting dappled patterns of light and shadow as Sam ventured deeper into the woods. The air was thick with the earthy scent of pine and the distant hum of cicadas. The sounds of nature surrounded him, the chirping of birds, the rustling of leaves, and the gentle gurgling of a nearby stream. Sam was in his element, and his heart soared with anticipation. He hiked for hours, following a winding trail that led him higher into the hills. The path grew narrow, often requiring him to squeeze between overgrown bushes and step over gnarled roots. Yet he pressed on, the allure of this secret fishing spot driving him forward. As the afternoon sun began its slow descent towards the horizon, Sam finally arrived at the clearing his father had described. A picturesque scene unfolded before him, a tranquil pond encircled by tall, ancient trees, their branches dipping into the water's edge, creating an almost otherworldly reflection. He couldn't help but smile. It was every bit as enchanting as he had imagined. Dropping his backpack and fishing gear, Sam eagerly began setting up his fishing rod. He baited the hook with a wriggling worm and cast it into the pond. The ripples spread across the water's surface, and he settled down to wait, his imagination running wild with the prospect of what he might catch in this secluded haven. Hours passed as Sam sat patiently by the pond, relishing the solitude and the peaceful sounds of nature. The breeze whispered through the trees, and the water shimmered with a golden hue as the sun started its final descent. Just as the first shadows began to stretch across the clearing, Sam felt a subtle shift in the atmosphere. An eerie stillness fell upon the pond, and the forest seemed to hold its breath. Unease prickled at the nape of his neck, and he cast an anxious gaze around. Then he saw it, a flicker of movement on the far side of the pond. At first he dismissed it as a squirrel or a deer, but his heart quickened as the movement persisted, and he realized it wasn't a forest creature. Standing at the water's edge was a figure unlike anything he'd ever seen. It was tall, impossibly thin, with elongated limbs and a face hidden in shadow. Its skin appeared gray, almost translucent, and its fingers were unnaturally long and slender. But it was the eyes that sent a shiver down Sam's spine. They glowed with an eerie, otherworldly light, like twin orbs in the twilight. A feeling of dread washed over Sam as the creature seemed to study him. It made no sound, and its gaze was unwavering. Sam couldn't move. He felt rooted to the spot, as if his very presence had drawn the creature out of the shadows. Summoning every ounce of courage, he slowly reeled in his fishing line and rose to his feet. The creature mirrored his movements, inching closer to the water's edge. Panic welled up within Sam, and he turned to flee, But as he did, he stumbled over a rock, falling hard to the ground. The creature seized the opportunity, and in an instant, it was upon him. Its bony fingers clamped around his arm, its grip icy and relentless. Sam let out a cry, struggling to break free, but the creature's strength was astonishing. Sam fought and screamed, but it was as if he had fallen into the grasp of an apparition from the darkest of dreams. The creature pulled him closer, its face now inches from his own. Those ghastly, luminescent eyes bore into his soul, and he felt an overwhelming sense of malevolence. In his cabin, Sam's family grew worried as the day turned into evening, and he had not returned. His father, a sturdy and weathered man with a heart full of concern, knew that his son was adventurous but rarely late. Gathering a lantern, he called for his wife and other children. By the time they reached the hidden fishing spot, darkness had blanketed the forest. The lantern's feeble glow barely pierced the shadows, and fear clawed at their hearts as they found Sam's abandoned fishing gear by the pond. The family called out for Sam, their voices trembling in the silence of the woods. Each cry seemed to echo eerily, as though the very trees were absorbing their pleas. But there was no response, no sign of their beloved boy. Hours turned into an agonizing night as they scoured the area, frantically searching for any trace of Sam. The moon cast an eerie pallor over the landscape, adding to their sense of dread. Then, as the first light of dawn broke over the hills, they heard a distant sound. Faint, desperate cries for help seemed to resonate from deep within the forest. The family followed the sound, pushing through thick underbrush and tangled branches until they reached the clearing by the pond. There, in the early morning light, they found Sam. He was lying on the ground, battered and bruised, his eyes wide with terror. He mumbled incoherently, his gaze darting around as though he were still locked in a nightmare. Tears welled up in his mother's eyes as she rushed to his side, cradling him in her arms. His father embraced him tightly, while his siblings looked on with a mixture of relief and concern. In a trembling voice, Sam recounted the ordeal he had endured. He described the mysterious, otherworldly creature that had stalked him by the pond, the creature with eyes that seemed to pierce his very soul. His family listened in horrified disbelief, struggling to comprehend the supernatural nature of his encounter. As Sam's story unfolded, it was clear that he had endured a night of sheer terror. The creature had held him captive, never uttering a word, never revealing its intentions. It was as if it had taken him to the edge of a nightmare, a place where the realms of reality and the paranormal blurred into a harrowing ordeal. Sam's family brought him home, where he was cared for and comforted. They listened to his story with a mixture of wonder and trepidation, their belief in the supernatural forever altered by their son's experience. In the days that followed, the family consulted with their neighbors and fellow residents of the hills. Many shared their own stories of strange encounters, odd happenings, and legends passed down through generations. It seemed that the hills of Kentucky held secrets that transcended the boundaries of reality. While Sam's encounter with the paranormal creature remained a haunting and unexplained mystery, it became a part of the folklore of the region, a story told around campfires and shared in hushed tones. The hills of Kentucky held not only the beauty of nature, but also the enigmatic and inexplicable, a realm where the ordinary and the extraordinary danced on the edge of perception. As for Sam, he grew older and wiser, forever changed by his ordeal. He became a guardian of the hills, respecting the untamed wilderness while acknowledging the mysteries that dwelled within. The memory of that fateful day and the haunting encounter by the pond would forever be etched in his heart, a reminder that the world held wonders beyond the scope of ordinary understanding.